you're in your 60s or 50s, looking at 60s, 70s because of 60s. Wherever you are along that continuum, that aging continuum, being an older, there is a lot of things unfolding around you. And it's important that you get an opportunity to sort of take a step back wherever you are and just go, hang on a minute, what does this all mean for me? And that's why this video is created to just give you some starting tips and tools and techniques to get you going. And that's why it's titled The Most Extraordinary Legacy Impact Ever Ignited. And it's for you along the path, this unique journey that you're walking as you adventure together with others. And these tips and tools are meant to help you sort of figure out what are the contributions, stories, projects that you want to share through the notion of a legacy, the gift of your time, effort, and money so others can learn from you. This living your legacy rather than thinking about it only about leaving a legacy. While that's important, living the legacy you intend to leave, there is a life um, decision that is so important. And I want to bring that to the foreground for you because it sort of reminds you and emphasizes that those small things that you do on a daily basis now in your 60s, 50s, 70s have an impact on those around you. And you may not recognize it right away, but there is an element of ripple effect that takes place because of your legacy contributions, stories, and projects. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is just listen in. It's a short presentation. And then at the end of it, I'm going to outline where it is that I'm going as a living example. So, I'm going to invite you to reflect on the beginning of your legacy journey, or if you're already into it, then this might fine tune or just give you some other ideas to look at. So, the first thing that I would suggest to you is recognize what legacy is and what impact your legacy will have on those that you're going to interact with. And it's more than just about the material wealth that we think about all the time. It's an influence of your values and actions. And that's why legacy is about the useful what's that you gift, your time, your effort, and your money. And therefore, every decision that you make about how you're going to live your life, to live a legacy life, builds a lasting marker. It highlights what's important to you, what's significant to you. And people pick up on that and go, oh, okay, that's interesting. That could impact me this way. Or thanks for doing that and learning that and sharing it because that will impact where it is that I'm going. And therefore, this sort of passing along through intergenerational conversations, for example, is so important. And therefore, things like mentoring and volunteering and educating and sharing your wisdom in whatever way it might be, there is a yes influence, that impact that is there. And I've shot a video about that, and I'll put it around this video if you wanted to go and look at that afterwards. And I would encourage you to start thinking about what is my legacy. And is that legacy simple enough, deep enough, better, wiser, kinder? Is there something I might be able to enhance it with? Or am I okay with what I've got going on? Or, hey, I think I could add this or this. Just take a look at your legacy and what it is that you are going to be contributing, the stories, the projects. And think about it from this point of view, this question: what elements of your life have already been created that impact others? What elements of your life have you already created that are impacting others? There's something to be learned there. And then being able to figure out, how do I improve focus and strengthen it as you move forward? So that means there's three things I'd like to share here. First one is reflect on your core values. What is it that is of value to you? What's of worth to you, from a space, a time, and energy, a monetary, the use of your wisdom? Think about it through that. What is the core values that you're living from at this point in time? And there's a couple of other notes here that sort of pop up when you think about that, that you can read and take action on. The next one I would encourage you to think about is, are you willing to share your life experiences along the way? Hey, you're in your 60s, few things have happened along the way. Are you willing to share some of that in ways that would help others? Because often your perspective, your perception, your point of view can be of great value to others who are walking a similar path. You're on a unique path. You're going to adventure together. You've done that. What of that can you share to help others? Again, some points here to think about. Then I would encourage you to go, okay, how is it that I could educate, in particular mentor, because it's one of the easier ones to walk into, to be able to help and engage with others? So when you think about that educator approach that you want to use, think about the educators that you've had. Which ones would you like to say, hey, listen, I like how that person did it. I'm going to sort of do something that's similar in my own way. So give that a thought and unpack that for yourself. The next thing I would encourage you to do is keep track of what it is that's going on for you. Now, I'm not saying you have to get into deep metrics and measures and all that, but keep track. And this is where a journal of anecdotes, stories you picked up, maybe links to places you've visited online, magazine articles, just collect some of that evidence together and keep it with you, because you might be amazed how that might be useful a little bit later on as you want to sustain this impact, this legacy impact that you have. But there's some other things here that I think are important. And again, I'm just going to list them here. But the idea that I want to bring to the foreground is, whatever approach you might create now, you can always edit it, add, alter, delete aspects of that. It's open, it's not cast in stone. And therefore, by documenting what you have, you can go back in and play with it. So, in moving forward with your legacy and taking the steps that go along, and I'm going to share what it is that I'm doing as a living example. But as you're moving forward, here's some things I would just remind you, and these are sort of recapping what it is I've shared already. Recognize your impact, ignite it with core actions based on your values, and measure your progress and about how to sustain it. And encourage those who are walking with you to share their insights with you. But more importantly for you is, don't jump necessarily into something really big unless you've been playing with it in a sort of a natural progression. But if you're moving into this legacy, this gifting of time, effort, and money, start off with some small actions and then figure out which way you want to go with that and see where that might take you. I'm going to do is, I'm going to encourage you to step up, stride forward, stay found, shine light, and share your wisdom. Follow that path, and you'll be well on your way to legacy impact, walking your legacy pathway. So, as an example, I just want to share with you some thoughts about where I'm going with my legacy. And if it's of interest to you, get involved. If I've given you enough to get you going because of the beginning of this video, great. Love to know what you picked up in the comments below so that I can learn from you about what it is that you're doing. But if the next part helps you out, great. You can leave comments about that as well. As a living example, here's me. This is what I'm going to be getting up to as I move forward. And just to let you know, if you've not met me, I'm Stephen here on the channel Living Legacy Life from a younger, older, elder perspective, as supported by the website Wealth Movement, WELLTH, about well being and well living to the nth degree and the encouragement of movement in all its different definitions. So, with this statement, this is where I'm going. And as you stay continued subscribed and reading the comments and posts that will be available on this channel here, this is what's going to unfold. And this is from the heart, and my head and hands are following along. So, I'm basically going to read out a lot of what's here, but I'm just going to emphasize with some other key words. So I'm going to help 60s. So 50s and 70s is still going to be in there, but certainly the 60s, who are professional, quasi professionals, and creative developers, sometimes cultural creatives, and who find themselves a little bit of a misfit rebel instigator. They have that sort of element to their lives, maybe been stifled a little bit because of the jobs they've had, but in them there's that bit of a misfit rebel instigator. I have a little bit of that. And so I welcome them into my interactions, and let's see what happens. And I want to help them shape and share a legacy, contributions, stories, and projects. Contributions tends to be the smaller actions that you might take, the stories that you want to share, the bigger projects. You might have one, two, three, I'm not quite sure. And certainly, if you are nature inspired, the muse and metaphor, the self care companion, living systems educator, the breath that inspires you because of nature, then I would certainly love to interact and share with you and see where that might take us. And I'm doing it because I'm helping because I want to look at the encouragement of this physical movement, finding that mental, emotional acuity that we complain sometimes, we sort of feel like we're losing it. Yet, how can we bring it to the foreground and live with mental and emotional happiness? This soluble alignment, this purpose and intention, the spiritual complementarity, finding ways in which to balance off all the different perceptions and perspectives and points of view that are out there. And this whole vertical engagement, how to take a look at it from a whole perspective and what it is that we can do to help one another. So it's very much about be the cause of doing and do the cause of being, sort of like two bookends to these actions that I want to encourage. And it's from a within, without, between, together, and beyond perspective. It's an expansion, extension kind of way of living this legacy life. Now, what becomes really important is that I'm going to add another word here. You'll notice it with Misfit, Rebel, and Instigator, the word hospitality, welcoming those who've not arrived yet. And that will be those who may be around but haven't been in your life or not in your life at this point in time, or the future generations that are coming along. The notion of the hospitality, welcoming them um, because they can really benefit from your legacy contributions and stories and projects. And I think it's a really important word to take a look at. And I would like to unpack that word with you as time goes by, as we take a look at hospitality, intergenerational conversations. And what I'm going to be doing is the bottom right is legacy. There is a story of legacy that I'd like to bring forward that sometimes isn't shared, or there's a very tight way of looking at legacy. I would like to open that up. And that's why there'll be Legacy Decoded that will be coming forward. And I'll bring it out in the different elements that are available. And then the Legacy Mastery is that how can you get even better as you improve focus and strengthen your legacy stories and contributions and projects, to the point that you may actually then self identify as a legacent, someone who is guiding others in their legacy story as well. So I'm going to help you find your legacy, but your legacy may also help others. And therefore, we're passing it along. In other words, gifting it forward rather than thinking about it, giving it back. And in all of that is a legacy community where we can get together and have conversations about what's taking place and answering questions that come forward. How that will look, legacy community, that will be assisted by you as you share what your thoughts are about. And so, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be certainly encouraging those of you who are the surfers of this crest of that new wave of what does it mean to live in your 60s and with legacy, is I'd love to interview you if you're up for it. There'll be a form that link that's in the description that you can then go to and say, hey, listen, I'd love to be interviewed, like to find out a little bit more. Great. Also, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be updating my website. So there'll be a lot more information on the website, wealthmovement.com. You'll see it here laid out for you, but it's also in the description. I'm in the process of writing a book, which is the top right grid that is here. It'll have 13 main chapters and then some other elements to go with that, like the introductory and some appendices. It will be around the topic of legacy decoded. And what it'll do is it will be a precursor for a course that I'm going to create. And therefore, I'll be working with Amazon and YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and the blog. And I might play a little bit with Instagram. So that's where I'm going with what's happening. And I think it's important to recognize that this is a start. And what I've put out here in the use of this small little whiteboard is what I would do if I was assisting you. So if you're looking for a legacy mentor, I'm here. I can help out as you wish. Again, use the contact form on the website to make contact with me. So, what I wanted to do is just share an example. This is me actually living what it is that I want to share with you. And the videos that are showing up now are the links to the Legacy Mentor series that I do on Wednesdays, and also the prompts, the short prompt videos that I put out in the morning. They are really helpful if you want a daily prompt to think about something to do with living a legacy life and some of the words that we've just mentioned. Take care.